Namaste everyone. Today I'm going to make a video about lost souls. Okay. And I decided to make this video because I got a DM in my IG asking me, for directions in life. Okay. Because they felt like they couldn't find themselves. Okay. They felt like they were lost. And I come across a lot of these people, okay, in astrology, because usually when someone is seeking astrology, it's because they're confused. Okay, they feel lost. They feel like, they don't know the meaning of their life. They're trying to find some meaning in some sort of direction, some sort of path to take them to where they think they're supposed to go, because they think there's a place that you're supposed to go. Now, you don't find yourself. There is no you to find. Okay. And I've explained this in my other video on ego, okay, how your ego starts changing every 7 years. And every 7 years you have a new theme, all right? You have a new mentality, a new mind frame, okay? You start to be a child in the Aries phase. You start to develop your body in the Taurus phase. You start to develop your influence in the Gemini phase, your mentality of making decisions. You start to develop your Cancer phase, okay, which is putting importance to relationship. You start to develop your Leo phase of putting yourself out there, in your 30s. You start to develop your Virgo phase, which is starting to tone down and getting used to life, okay, and starting new patterns, in order to survive the old age. You go through all these phases. So your ego is constantly breaking and creating, breaking and creating, breaking. Your ego is constantly evolving. So there is no you, okay? There's only you through time, okay? So you don't find yourself. You create yourself, okay? Now, if you want to know your direction in this lifetime, then I suggest that you look at your North Node, okay? Because your North Node in your chart is going to point you to, what's your mission in this life, okay? And your South Node is going to give you a hint of where you came from, okay? Of the blueprint that you left behind in your past life, okay, where you left off. That life doesn't exist anymore. That you does not exist anymore. Okay, that was just an energy that had experiences and developed into another energy that you are now. Okay, now you're having another experience in order to get to the next experience. Okay, and trust me, I do come across times when I do feel lost. This is mostly all the time, okay? I do know that feeling, and I'm like, well, who am I now? But I can't really ask that question anymore. I already know that the ego is always changing, so the question I should be asking myself is, who do I think I am now? Okay? And then evaluate other people's perception and try to see if it coincides. Are they right? All right? That's what I have to be thinking. Are my actions, do I like the way my actions are going now? If I don't, well, I need to change it, because I could always change it. I am not a thing. I am an action. And people don't understand that. People think that they can't change their actions. Therefore they are a thing. They put themselves in a box. Okay. And speaking of which, the influences that we have in today's world, man, they're crazy. They're really crazy. The people are always putting someone in a box. And I understand that. We always tend to put someone in a box because we're trying to do a formation. We're trying to make something out of someone, trying to figure someone out. Okay, that's how we think in this lateral dimension. We have four. It's a 4D world. So we have to put something in a box. But once you start reaching other levels of consciousness, you start to realize that if you start doing that, you start to limit yourself. Okay, because you don't see the potential of the other individual that they have, and you don't see the potential in yourself. And a lot of people take drugs. A lot of people take drugs in order to find themselves. And let me tell you something. Drugs are only like LSD and all those psychedelics. Those are only used, okay, back then in temples, okay, to reach other states of mind, all right. But they had to be monitorized by a priest, a person that knew what they were doing. Okay, this was not for recreational activities. Okay, this was for knowing about yourself. This is for a person that doesn't know that is not connected to their higher mind. A person that's very rigid. Okay, this was for people that were rigid. But if you're using this for recreational activity every day, you're not living in your will. You're living in an illusion. You're not taking responsibility for this life. You're basically cheating. Basically cheating. You're numbing down something that you don't want to face. Okay? And if you never face your challenges, then you're never going to graduate into the next experience. You're just going to stay there in limbo. You're just going to be, there all your existence. So you don't wanna play the game. It's just a game. You don't want to play the game. And I know a lot of people that are like this. Okay, they think that ayahuasca is going to do it. They think that pot's going to do it. They live in a life that they have nothing, because all they do is think about drugs. They don't have a life here. And a lot of people live in video games too. It's another reality is being created for them. Their pineal gland is being controlled by other entities. Okay, because they can't make a reality of themselves. They can't create anything here. So I hope this video brought some clarity about yourself, that you don't find yourself. There's nothing to find. You could only see what you're doing now, how you're acting now. You could only analyze how you're acting now, and then come about a plan to change it if you want to change it. Okay, so I hope this video brought some clarity, and namaste.